Get lumped up tonight. Listen to Rob Rossi and Rock a Mine on the only podcast that I'll hear that won't make me wanna rip off my ears. Oh, the Rock Show, the Rock Show, the Rock Show, the Rock Show, the Rock Show. The Rock Show, oh, I want the Rock Show. The Rock Show, 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 the Rock Show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to a special edition of the Rock Show. Today, we're going to be doing a little memorial to the late Shane MacGowan, the Irish founder of the Pogues, many other bands. In one of my opinions, one of the best songwriters in history. He passed away exactly 1 month ago today, on November 30th. After a long illness. He was sick for a lot of years. I kind of, when this happened, Rob, I wanted to definitely do a memorial.
Yeah.
I'm glad we kind of let the dust settle a little bit, because it was a little while before they had the funeral for him, and then we had the holidays and stuff like that. So,
yeah, it was a little hectic. It was crazy.
Yeah. And I mean, the amount of just people calling and writing and, articles and people remembering Shane. I mean, I guess maybe not everybody knows who he is, so I'll give a little background.
But Mike, so you got me to watch that documentary, The Crock of Gold?
A Crock of Gold that came out recently.
And if you get it right now on Amazon, I rented it. It was 99 cents.
Yep, that's what I paid for it. Like 99 or $1.99, something like that.
So I got it and I watched it today, and it was excellent. It was pretty much, when did they film that?
Just a couple of years ago.
Because it seemed like by the end of it, like they pretty much was saying like goodbye in a weird way.
Well, I mean, look, they've been calling for his demise for 40 years.
Doctors, he got 2 weeks to live.
I mean, look, for people who don't know, okay,
it's crazy.
Shane MacGowan was not just known for his music, okay? The guy was an OG of Lumped Up, okay?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this guy, the amount of alcohol he consumed was just legendary. I guess we shouldn't really, memorialize that, but at the same time, you got to hand it to him in some ways. This guy drank a lot, okay?
But he said that's what he liked doing.
Yeah.
He pretty much say, even though he was all fucked up and this and that, he even when he went to rehab, they had to give him a microdose of some kind of drug or alcohol just to keep him going, or his body would have shut down.
Yeah, I mean, he drank so much that if he stopped, it could kill him.
Yeah, pretty much.
Cold turkey. I'm wearing my new Shane shirt today. I actually bought this just for the show.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, the picture of Shane here with a pint, I mean, that's perfect,
Dude, but that thing with him, he started drinking at a young age, and they showed the little baby like drinking the stout. That was was that him? Was that actually footage?
Yeah, let's get into the early years a little bit now. He was born on Christmas Day in 1957 in Pembury, Kent, which is in England, actually. His parents, who both were Irish, they were actually visiting some people in England, and he just happened to come out at that time, so that's where he was born. But he spent all of his early childhood in Tipperary, Ireland, okay, and which I believe is on the water, if I know my Irish geography right. He had a younger sister, Siobhan MacGowan, okay, and she was born later in 1963. his family would move to England when he was 6.5. Okay. But like you say, his early years as a child, he lived in a little cottage type place, okay, on a farm. And his family were all farmers. And I mean, this is just something, even though it was the early 60s, when you watch that documentary, A Crock of Gold, and there's some other good documentaries on YouTube out there, like BBC ones and stuff like that, if you want to check them out. It seemed almost like the 1800s or something, or the early 20th century, you know?
Yeah.
He had no TV. He had no running water. They still used, horse and buggy type things, horse and cart, carted donkeys and all that kind of stuff. Really just a primitive life. I mean, everybody in one room. There was a room off to the side that they would use if somebody got sick, so they would stay away from everybody.
Yeah.
Very Catholic upbringing. The interesting thing too is Shane, he stayed with his Catholicism his whole life.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you watch him in that documentary, he's wearing a big cross. Obviously later in his life, I think he really went back to the church big time, but he always was religious. He always was.
Who was the one that was teaching him the Bible, but getting him smoking freaking liquor at a young age?
The man was, yeah. I mean, he had it right. He was served, I think, his first pint when he was about 5. Okay,
Insane.
Might have even been younger than that, and it was really like just a tradition. I mean, these people drank. Well, in Ireland, Guinness is it's a nutritional thing, so it's not unheard of to see a kid drink a beer. They believe, yeah. I mean, it's just how it is.
And then his first experience with whiskey was pretty funny. They gave him like.
You remember what it was? What brand?
I forgot.
Because I drank it.
The Tono something. It was a pinter.
Powers.
Powers, yeah.
It was Powers. And I think he was like 5 or 6 years old, and someone gave him
it was called something special.
A baby bottle. He called it a baby Powers. And
yeah,
it's basically just enough for like 2 shots.
Yeah, 2 shots. I would say.
And he did, and he drank it, and he said he was like hallucinating with the farm animals outside.
They were talking to him.
Right, the donkeys were talking to him.
That was great.
Yeah, but. So he started off in Ireland, and then his family would move to England when he was about 6.5 years old. His father's name was Maurice, and he came from Dublin originally, very middle-class background, worked in a department store in England. And then his mother, Therese, who was actually from Tipperary, worked as a typist in a convent. Okay. She was also prior to that, she was a model. She was the Miss Colleen, I think, of 1950, late 50s, 57, something like that, which was in Ireland. That was like, Miss Ireland, kind of like Miss Colleen. That was the name. So he moved around quite a bit in the Brighton area of London. He spent some time. His father was very well read and kind of pushed this literary background onto Shane, who enjoyed it. Shane was reading the great Irish poets and Irish authors at an early age. He also was a big John Steinbeck fan, a big Dostoevsky fan. I mean, he was reading these things by the time he was 13 years old. He also won a literary contest when he was 13 that was put out by the Daily Mirror in London. By 71, he got a literature scholarship and attended the Westminster School. But shortly thereafter, he would be expelled for drugs and alcohol. Okay. All right. He ended up spending a few months in a psychiatric hospital in 71, okay, due to his drug dependency. Which I'm not sure what was going on at that point. If I remember in the documentary, he was doing a lot of acid.
Oh yeah.
At that time, Sadly later he would get into heroin much later. But but the at that point I think it was a lot of like acid and mushrooms and smoking weed and things like that. He's by 1975, 76, he was living in London, and punk happened. Okay, and that's where Shane really kind of flourished. I'll tell you the first time I ever noticed the guy. Okay, there was the film. What the hell was it called? The punk rock movie. Okay, and it was filmed by Don Letts, the great reggae guy.
Yeah.
And it basically just filmed the whole punk scene, the early scene at the 100 Club in London.
Yeah.
And there's a scene when the Clash, you can hear the track White Riot in the background, and you see people slamming, dancing around, and you see Shane, and Shane has this like Union Jack coat on that he was known to wear. But some people, his Irish buddies that were in the punk scene, like John Lydon, right? Johnny Rotten from the Sex Pistols was from an Irish background.
Yeah.
They would give him shit for wearing that, but he just did it to be a dick. He was always kind of anti-British, in his attitude, very pro-Ireland.
Yeah.
He came. I mean, Tipperary, I believe the town of Tipperary was a headquarters for the IRA and the Black and Tan Wars and all that stuff.
The Black and Tan War looked fucking freaky. The footage that was showing,
Yeah. Okay. There's a good movie about that. Gets into it is Michael Collins with Liam Neeson. Do you remember that film?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I rewatched it recently, and it holds up. It's a good movie. It's a piece of history that very few Americans really know about, but what went on over there. But I mean, he came from this militant Irish background, and he always had that in him for his whole life. He would start a punk band by the end of the 70s, originally called the Nipple Erectors. And then it would be shortened to the Nips. Very cool melodic punk rock. I think they put out a few singles. Cool stuff. You could look that up. But really, what would happen is, right after punk rock was kind of, you could say, removed from the scene and became the new wave, new romantic kind of stuff.
he was talking about that.
Yeah, it fizzled out, and he just came up with this idea of kind of fusing traditional Irish music, stuff like the Dubliners, bands that had been around from early part of the 20th century, all that traditional Irish music, and kind of mixing it with like a punk rock attitude, okay, and faster style of playing.
It was genius.
Come up with the Pogues.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the Pogues was originally, they were called the Pogue Mahone, okay, which really means in Gaelic and Irish, it means kiss my ass.
Yeah.
So that's great. And that name would be shortened down to the Pogues because I think the English kind of picked up on it.
Yeah, they picked up real quick.
Yeah. It's kind of, you got to take it into context a little bit how controversial this was. Okay. We look at it now 40 years later, and traditional Irish music is, especially around St. Paddy's Day, you hear it. In 1980, when he formed this band, that stuff was not in the mainstream at all. And this could only have come out of England as opposed to Ireland. Ireland in 1980 was still very conservative. There was no way a band like this band could come out of Ireland. It would take these kind of second generation Irish immigrants to England, the working class guys in England that were all of Irish descent that maybe were born in Ireland but lived in England because that's where the work was. That kind of, drinking in the pubs and all that stuff. Ireland at that time kind of looked down on the Pogues. It was like they were trying to get away from the idea of the drunken Paddy, the drunken Irishman. Okay. And here you had Shane with, 5 good teeth in his mouth and drinking a pint and being totally lumped up on stage and falling down and slurring his words. And I mean, it was his lifestyle and the band would blur. It'd be just
those teeth, man. Holy shit.
Yeah. I mean, the guy was known for that. It's just, I hate to point that out. The guy's dead, but yeah, it really is. And he didn't care. He did not care. I mean, you watch some of those early videos with the Pogues. I mean, he's just smiling with all these teeth in his mouth. He had no shame at all, which is
what
fine.
was the thing that happened in the news still? He was like in the news and they called him drunken patties and all this stuff. And a bunch of Irish guys started wearing the shirts. Say, what the hell?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Ireland was trying to get away from that stereotype.
Yeah.
And they were, by 1980, Ireland was starting to modernize a little bit. I mean, there was a lot of politics involved. Also, the IRA was very active at that time. So, here they were in England celebrating Irish music, kind of putting their own take on it. And, subways were being bombed by the IRA. So they were like not really liked by anybody on either side of Ireland and England, but the fans loved them. The people in the pubs, the Irish people, the English, they loved them. Okay, the regular folk. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, the Pogues, even now, I mean, I think they're one of the best bands of the late 20th century. I'm surprised we haven't done a show on them, actually.
Yeah, I'm surprised too.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm slipping here. I gotta really sometimes dig deep.
I think maybe this year we'll
maybe we'll
March for St. Patty's.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that. Yeah. There's always a chance. He was gonna sing. I mean, his idea was, I'm gonna sing about Ireland, the what it's like to be Irish, what the background is, the history, famous people, and they would come up with these amazing albums. If I Should Fall from the Grace of God, that's one. Rum, Sodomy, and the Lash. I always loved that title. That was produced by Elvis Costello, who picked up on them early on. And
I think he told Elvis Costello go fuck himself.
I was just going to say that in that documentary, it's great because he says how they were arguing in the studio on how things were supposed to sound. And, Shane being Shane said, no, it's going to sound like this. If you don't like, get the fuck out. I think he did throw him out. He probably
did.
Probably finished recording it without him,
Get the hell out of it.
Exactly. Well, you being a bartender, Rob, is that how you got exposed to the Pogues?
Yeah, pretty much from bars, because I worked at a lot of Irish bars. That was like, I guess that was the requirement that they gotta have a CD of the Pogues in there. Because Molly got one. She always had, even the new jukebox, even the jukebox in International, that she brought that album to the new International. It's crazy,
right?
So you always heard people play them. Like they to me, I think it's sometimes a little bit too much because it's overplayed. And a lot of times, if you got that jukebox, you wind up listening to the same song like 100 million times.
Yeah.
Go play the same thing.
It's the music. The songs are similar.
Yeah.
I like it. To me, it makes me fucking happy. Only the Irish could take like a shitty subject about being persecuted and turn it into a happy song.
It's amazing.
I mean, it's you got to hand it to them. I guess because I got Irish blood also, that it's just in me,
The guy also, think about it, the guy was like a musical genius and he just made it work. It's impressive all the stuff that he did, all the albums and stuff.
Yeah.
He had a long career, even when he became with the Popes and stuff.
Yeah, well, what would happen is and I saw them in 80, I think it was 87 going into 88 when Fairytale of New York was the big Christmas hit. Okay.
Yeah.
Which you still hear every year. Actually,
you hear that every day. That's song.
Yeah. Well, since he passed, this month, that song went to #1 in Ireland.
I believe, of course.
Right. It's 35 years old. It went to #1.
Yeah, of course it went.
Yeah, that's the famous duet that he did with Kirsty MacColl.
Yeah.
What are some other songs like "Dirty Old Town"?
Yeah, Dirty
Dirty
on
Old
Town.
Town, "The Irish Rover."
It's like hundreds of them, man.
Yeah, "Brown Eyes." Okay, that's another great song. You know, to me, I think he's one of the best songwriters of the last 50, 60 years. He's up there with Dylan, in my opinion. I'm not the only one that has said that. I know Bruce Springsteen admired him. One guy who was really tight with him was Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Did you see Johnny Depp at his funeral?
Oh no, I didn't see the
funeral. The funeral was amazing. If I could, I would love to have, if I die, I'd love to have a funeral like this. I mean, his coffin was carried by horse and carriage through the city of Dublin.
Wow.
In a see-through carriage. He was in a wicker coffin, like a wicker basket coffin. Yeah, I never saw anything like that before.
Wow.
And they in the church in Tipperary, where he was from as a kid. Everybody was lining the streets to see him. Johnny Depp was one of the pallbearers. Also, he also gave a short eulogy. So many people came up to speak. Jerry Adams, who was part of the IRA, okay, he actually spoke to him too, about him too. I mean, they were friends, and everybody loved this guy. He just, represented. I guess you really have to be Irish to appreciate it, but he represented something in all of them.
Yeah, he also had that Rainy Night on Soho.
Rainy Night in Soho, Sunny Side of the Street was another song.
Yeah, Jesse James.
I mean, there's just tons of songs. When you listen to these things, the lyrics just are so real. It's like stories. You know what I mean? And yeah, they talk about drinking, and I always like the song "The Sick Bed of Cuchulainn."
Yeah.
where at the end he says, they put you in the ground and you popped out your head and asked for another round.
Yeah.
Or the line in there too, where he says, your friends dragged you up to midnight mass and left you in the lurch. So you put a button on the plate and threw up in the church. I mean, it's so wrong, but it's so right,
Yeah, but he's a poet. He was. To that whole documentary, I learned. He also played with a lot of people. He also cabareted with a lot of people, and like once it was punk, and then in editing, he just took. I thought it was clever that he took that whole motion of turning Irish songs into like modern day thing. Let's talk about that stuff now, and that was pretty impressive.
It was. It's not an easy thing to do.
No.
And he had so many songs. The guy was so prolific. He'd walk around he'd have a book of songs all the time, writing in them. Another, we mentioned the documentary. There's a great book here that came out. When did it come out? Let me see here. I think it came out in 2001. It's called A Drink with Shane MacGowan. Okay. And it was written by Victoria Mary Clark, who was a longtime companion of Shane. He would marry her in 2018, but they knew each other for many years before that. She's an interesting person. She's been posting some very nice stuff on Instagram before and after the funeral, and talking about trying to deal with the fact that he's gone and everything. And this is somebody, it's real stuff. You know what I mean? There he is. There's Shane. Now, do you remember the part about Sinead O'Connor and him?
Yeah, what happened with that?
They were friends, and by the late 80s, early 90s or so, Shane had graduated from just drinking to hard drugs.
Oh.
Okay. He got into heroin a little bit.
Yeah.
And Sinead O'Connor had been friends with him for quite a while, even before she was famous. They had that song called Haunted.
Yeah.
Which is like a duet between the two of them. The Pogues would record a version of their own of that song that was on the Sid and Nancy soundtrack. But I prefer the duet between Shane and Sinead O'Connor.
Oh yeah, you like that better?
I like that better. Yeah, it's just Sinead has a beautiful voice. It just goes so well with it. Not that the Pogues version is bad. It's just a little different. And Sinead was so concerned about him that she actually called the cops and got him arrested for possession. Okay,
that was crazy
of heroin, and he lost it on her, but then years later he would apologize and say that was the best thing that she ever did for him.
Yeah, I saw when he was talking about the documentary. I didn't realize that Sinead O'Connor. Like I'm watching. I didn't realize that's who it was.
Yeah, it was
and
the
she called him a very stupid woman or something. He said something.
Yeah, he called her in the press. He called her names, a stupid woman, and all that. But she really, by dropping a dime, and one thing about the English is I think a lot of Europe is like this. If I'm right, I'm not sure if all of it is, but if you get arrested for hard drugs, they don't it's not like here where they lock you up forever. There's certain procedures. They'll get you help and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right. And I think he admitted that he needed help. And
yeah, he did say he needed it.
He would dry out and get off that. He would 1991 during the Japanese tour of the Pogues, he was fired from the band. Okay, and it was for just being lumped up and for missing performances. I mean, they missed a couple of gigs because he was so out of it.
Mike, do you ever hear the I Put a Spell on You, the Haiti charity song that he did with like Nick Cave, Johnny Day, and
Nick Cave. Nick Cave,
yeah,
he was very good friends with Nick Cave.
Hindi, Chrissy Hines.
I think I did hear it was a tribute for Haiti.
I don't think I ever. I gotta tell you, I don't think I ever heard that. Even Greg.
I kind of remember hearing about it. I don't know the songs on there, but
I'm just reading it right now. I'm like, Wild Rover. He did with Sinead O'Connor. He did some more songs.
He did a lot of charity work. In '97, he did a cover of Lou Reed's "Perfect Day."
Oh shit! Oh yeah,
that was on a compilation of different artists for a charity called Children in Need. Okay, he did a lot of charity work, and he also, a lot of people don't know, he would go around with a wad of cash and give to beggars.
Oh shit!
When he ran into them, okay, in different countries and even I guess back home, if he saw a homeless person, he would give the guy money. He always gave back. There's so many stories of, people just running into Shane at 4:00 in the morning on a rainy night, and they just meet, he's coming back from some pub or something by himself. There's just so many stories like that. He was a regular guy, despite the fame. It never got to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's good. That never got to him.
Now, I remember seeing the Pogues in '87, I believe, at the Ritz, and they were excellent. And then, after he got kicked out in '91, he started Shane MacGowan and the Popes. And it was what was happening with the Pogues in the end there before he got thrown out. They were kind of experimenting with different kinds of music, and he just wanted to keep it Irish and traditional, and kind of lost control of the band, and I guess lost control with his substance abuse and alcohol abuse and everything. So by the time he was fired, he was relieved. Okay,
who was singing when they did that?
Oh, they had a female singer for a while. I forget her name, but they had different people in the band singing. Then the Shane MacGowan and the Popes was kind of like a return to form. Okay, they had one great album I remember called "The Snake," which was really good. Let's see, Then he would do different things. He had some solo stuff, played with different bands, did a lot of charity. And then in 2001, he returned to the Pogues. Okay. And they did basically between 2001 and then each year between 2004 and 2009, they would just do these like festivals and they were, touring a lot. They were back together. One person he was friends with from the old days was Joe Strummer. He was very good friends with him.
Yeah.
Joe always admired Shane's songwriting. He was very vocal about that. Joe would pass in 2002. In 2010, he had a band called the Shane Gang for a while. He also, 2014 to 2020, he was very active in arena shows, played with Imelda May. Okay, she's great. Band called Patty Maloney. Continued doing a lot of charity work going into the 2010s and stuff like that. They were all, a lot of the charity stuff that he was interested in was stuff against, helping children. That was a big thing for Shane.
Yeah.
In 2018, he would marry Victoria Mary Clark. They would get married in Copenhagen. Okay. They were engaged for 11 years.
Wow.
Before they got married. Over the years, his health kind of declined. But, in that documentary, it's clear he never did really stop drinking.
No, he was still drinking the documentary.
Yeah. And I think that was from 2020.
Dude, how crazy is it that Sinead O'Connor passed before him?
Right before, in the same year, right?
Yeah, no, I think
When did she die? 22 or this year?
When did she die? I gotta see.
I think it's the same. I think she died early this year.
Was it this year? For some reason, I thought she died last year.
I could be wrong.
But maybe you're right. How crazy is that?
It was like early this year, like February or something, or January.
Oh, yeah, maybe it was the beginning of the year.
Yeah. You looking that up?
Yeah, I'm looking that up.
Now, we mentioned earlier his thing with his teeth. Okay.
Oh, yes, he died in July.
July of 23.
Yeah, 23.
Yeah. So it was only 5 months, 4.5 months or so before him.
She was 56 and he was 65. How funny is that?
Yeah.
10 years apart.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, he was almost 67, right? Or 66? Almost
66, yeah.
Yeah. So, one, notorious for the bad teeth. He lost the last of his natural teeth around 2008. Okay. In 2015, he had a set of new teeth put in, including one gold tooth. Okay. And it was fitted in a 9-hour procedure, like an operation. And then they actually filmed it for an hour-long special called Shane MacGowan, A Wreck Reborn. But, even though he had his new teeth, he would have problems. He had a couple of falls. 2021, he broke his knee. I think since about 2018, 2019, he really kind of was in a wheelchair. I think he suffered from a lot of, I don't know if they were, from drinking or just from being weak. In July of 2023, he was hospitalized again. He had an infection. He had been diagnosed with encephalitis, which is swelling of the brain.
Yeah.
And then he would get pneumonia in the end of, and that would do him in. On November 30th of this year, he died from pneumonia in his home in Dublin with his wife by his side, and he was 65 years old. Didn't have any children. okay, of his own. I think he never wanted kids. He was pretty clear about that in that documentary.
Yeah.
You know, and for the last month, you know, we've been seeing these great tributes. We've been seeing this outpouring of affection for the guy.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know really. There really aren't that many people you could compare him to. He was a one of a kind of guy. You know, you think of Johnny Thunders in a way. Okay, great songwriter, great guitar player, known probably more for the drugs he took than for his music, unfortunately, because his music was great. But Shane had a much longer career and really affected a lot of mainstream people, even though he was never quite mainstream. I mean, Bruce Springsteen cited him as like his favorite songwriter.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, if you think, you know, Springsteen, you think he would be a Dylan fan more, you know, or something.
Yeah.
But he was citing Shane, you know. At the funeral, which was on December 8th, like I said earlier, there was a horse-drawn carriage and fans lined up on the streets of Dublin. Hundreds of people were inside St. Mary of the Rosary Church in Tipperary. The celebrities there were, like I said, Johnny Depp, who was also a pallbearer, Nick Cave, Bob Geldof, the president of Ireland, Michael Higgins, Jerry Adams from the IRA. And they actually, the Pogues got together and did Fairytale of New York inside the church. And people were dancing and everything. They were on stage with, not really, you know, they were in the church with John Sheehan, who was a member of the Dubliners, who've been around forever, okay, in Ireland. That's real traditional Irish music that influenced Shane. Just a little quote. I'll leave it with this from Michael Higgins, who's the president of Ireland, when he spoke at the funeral. He said, Shane will be remembered as one of music's greatest lyricists. So many of his songs will be perfectly crafted poems. If that would not have deprived us of the opportunity to hear him sing them. The genius of Shane's contribution includes the fact that his songs capture within them, as Shane would put it, the measure of our dreams, of so many worlds, and particularly those of love, of the emigrant experience, and of facing the challenges of that experience with authenticity and courage, and of living and seeing the sides of life that so many turn away from. So I thought that was a very nice thing to say. Nick Cave, he called MacGowan the greatest songwriter of his generation. Springsteen actually said passion and deep intensity of MacGowan's music and lyrics is unmatched. Bob Dylan performed a concert in Dublin in 2022. He paid tribute to MacGowan while on stage, describing the former Pogues frontman as one of his favorite artists. I mean,
wow.
You know,
I'm looking at a picture of the funeral. That was a hell of a funeral. They had him. They have like in a pint box, like a.
No, it was a wicker.
Yeah, wicker box.
Wicker
but it looks like a wicker basket.
Like it's woven. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a basket, and everybody like Johnny Depp. There's a bunch of people holding him up.
Yep. And they did the traditional pallbearing where you put the casket on your shoulder.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, and then they put him like in this. They put the Irish flag on him.
Yep.
And they had him in this like see-through kind of
carriage,
horse carriage. It's pretty crazy.
Carriage. Yep. Check that out online. It's out there. You can see it.
Yeah, it's out there. I'm just looking at it because I heard you talk about it. Then I'm seeing they showing John. There's a bunch of pictures of Johnny Depp and his wife and everybody.
Yeah. So that's what I got for you today.
Man, what a history, man. This guy was a wow fucking guy, man. But he lived his life the way he wanted to live. He liked to drink and write music.
St. Patty's isn't going to be the same without Shane.
No, I guess there's people in Ireland still recovering after this.
Yeah. I mean, he was a national hero, national treasure.
Yeah.
So, all right. Shane MacGowan. What do we got coming up?
I have no idea because you sent me the schedule. So we got a bunch of stuff.
I know we got coming up. I was just asking rhetorically. We got January is going to be dedicated. The Rockshow is going to be dedicated to Led Zeppelin.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
We're
that's
gonna
a two-parter, right?
Two-parter on that. We got some cool interviews coming up. I'll let you know more about that when it gets closer. We'll put it out on the Rock Show podcast group page. Even going into February, we got a few things lined up.
Yeah, because we got Black History, do the Black History Month.
Black History Month too. We're going to talk about Motown, particularly Smokey Robinson. That's for February. I think we will maybe do a special on the Pogues come around St. Patty's in March.
Yeah.
You know, and it's going to be 5 years that we're doing this.
Jesus Christ, 5 years.
Yep, 5 years in beginning of March, actually.
Wow, I can't believe it went that far so far. And we're like reaching the 200 episode of the Rock Show.
I know, it's great.
We got a lot of Rock Show, but we also got a lot of special because a lot of people passed away. It's crazy.
Well, between COVID and other things, yeah, a lot of people did pass away.
Yeah. Did you hear the one that girl from the Dixie chick died like the founder died like in a head-on collision the other day?
No. Wait, one of the Dixie chicks?
Yeah, one of the founder of the Dixie chick.
Oh, I didn't even hear that.
Yeah, it was like on Fox News. It was like all over the place for a while.
I've been a little out of it with Christmas and everything. I've been busy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
All right, Mike.
All right, so if anybody's looking for me on social media, you can find me on Facebook under Rocko Mike. Okay. Then on Facebook, the Rock Show podcast group page, Instagram and Twitter, Rocker Mike 212, Rocker Mike 212. I am on MeWe, Getter, Truth Social. I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
X. Well,
right.
Used to be known as
formerly known as Twitter. And I'm also on Threads, which kind of sucks, but I'm on it. And that's all under Rocker Mike. Just Google Rocker Mike, I'll pop up. Where can we find
that one thread is pretty much like pretty much like Twitter. It's the same thing.
It's like Twitter from 2020.
Yeah.
Where everybody's bitching and complaining and moaning and groaning.
Yeah.
So anyway, where can we find you, Rob?
And you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, X, and the Lumped Up page on Facebook. And you can also find the website, gettinglumpedup.com, and send me a line, drop me some tune, and give some suggestion for future shows if you guys like to.
Oh, yeah. We always like the input. If you look at the YouTube shows, there's always nice comments. I usually try to respond to everybody. Rob,
that's true. You know what? The Rock Show is actually getting a lot of people are looking and comments and stuff. I'm just, I'm watching it every day.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of comments, people saying good stuff. Look, man, we've been doing this now 5 years almost, and I still have fun.
Me too.
It's a slow burn, and we appreciate all the help and all the input that the fans give.
Yeah.
There's people that have been with us since the very beginning and watched all the shows. It's almost 200 now. It's amazing. And then we have the other shows. We have Conspiracy 420.
Yeah.
Rocker Mike and Rob Presents, which is an interview show. We've interviewed so many people,
so many people,
different genres, all kinds of stuff.
Yep.
And then of course we have the Son of Sam Chronicles.
Yes.
And we're going to be starting another true crime thing. I might as well tell you about it now. It's going to be called The Truth Behind the Crime. I think we're going to start having some episodes within the next maybe 2 months or so, probably in the early part.
Yeah, sounds good, man. The truth behind the crime. That sounds good.
Behind the crime. We got the true crime bug because of the Son of Sam Chronicles, which we're kind of going to be winding that show down a bit.
Yeah.
That was a fantastic show that went on it was our number one show for a couple of years.
Yeah.
But we're going to delve into some other true crime things. Going to be some one-off shows.
Yeah.
Not so many like just one thing. And just follow us. We're, look under Getting Lumped Up. We're out there.
Yeah. All right, people. And remember, don't get drunk.
Get lumped up.
See you next time.
Take care, people.
Get lumped up tonight. Listen to Rob Ross and podcast that I'll hear that won't make me wanna rip off my ear.